My Time at Sandrock is a farm sim RPG developed and published by Pathia Games, in which your character arrives in the town of Sandrock around the same time of the events of My Time at Portia, 300 years after the Day of Calamity destroyed most modern technology. In this dusty Western-themed adventure, you take over as one of the town's builders to help improve the town and protect it from threats out in the desert and financial ruin. Today, I'll give you a few reasons why this is a game that you may want to play, or perhaps a game you might want to pass on. Play. One of the things that first struck me about My Time at Sandrock is the atmosphere. It's absolutely gorgeous. Definitely reminiscent of My Time at Portia, but graphically updated and elevated beautifully. For me, the graphics ran pretty smoothly, even when my character was hightailing it across the town or across the desert. The small details, such as the twinkling dew on the plants or the sand as it blows gently through the air, really added to the ambiance. And speaking of ambiance, the desert setting allows for an atmosphere much different than those farm sims that are often set in plains areas or the valleys or out in the woods. And what could have been a pretty drab, one note and blah visually, with all that dust and dirt everywhere, is made bright and inviting with the color of the buildings of the town, the dress of the people, and the unique and interesting critters parading around doing their thing. It makes this West seem not so wild. In addition, the music, which, full disclosure, I do not care for country music. Much love and respect to my country music loving viewers out there. The music has a Western flair, but not so Western that it's a turnoff for those not into the musical genre. It's been really nice to listen to when you're out grinding away for resources or watching the moon rise in the sky. Pass. My Time in Sandrock released May 25th in early access, so you know what that means. Bugs and glitches. Now, I will say that I have not personally experienced too many issues so far, but frame rate issues and soft locks where players couldn't progress parts of the game have been reported. It is overall pretty put together at this point, but that doesn't mean you won't experience problems along the way. For example, I was a bit confused during my first machine assembly because I thought I was done, but I couldn't do anything more with it without a major struggle to pick it up. Turns out that was a glitch. But in early access fashion, patches and updates have been rolling out fast and furious, and I've already noticed the improvements. Also, because the game is still being fine-tuned and developed, right now we only have access to the single-player game, with the multiplayer aspect of the game not being implemented yet. The devs say this will be tested along the way with some early access players, but there is no guaranteed access to this prior to full launch, which should happen sometime within the next year, but multiplayer is something definitely planned for the future. Play. There is a lot to do, and so much to explore. When you first make it to town, you will have access to a nice sized map, and while all areas are not yet open to you, a lot of it is. And I spent an in-game day or two just popping in and out of buildings to see what was going on and which NPCs could be found in which building. And there are lots of NPCs to meet, over 30 new characters created for the game. There is a museum to fill, mini games, a vast desert to explore, and of course, a main storyline to sink your teeth into as you expand your workshop and turn the barren prairie into a thriving farm. And of course, dating and marriage are an aspect of the game, so you can chat up your love interest and gift whoever tickles your fancy. But I haven't had time for love yet because these townsfolk have kept me running. Between main quest requirements, commissions you hand select, as well as townsfolk coming up to you for one of the hundreds of side quests in the game, you won't be short on tasks to fulfill. You start off with some recipes, of course, but you can earn more along the way by taking data discs to the research center and learning how to make some more, skill tree style. And yes, you will have your own skill tree as you level up. And oh yes, can't forget about the combat. Not all of the animals, or humans for that matter, are friendly, so you'll have to learn how to defend yourself, and you'll have to show them that you ain't no greenhorn. Pass. There is a lot to do, particularly at the start, and it can be a bit overwhelming for new players. Now, if you played My Time at Portia, you will jump right in with both feet, as the two games are very similar in terms of game mechanics and overall game structure. But if you've never played My Time at Portia, you might be in for a bit of a surprise of how much is thrown at you right away. There are lots of menus to navigate and lots of steps to make things, and it's a learning curve to keep up with all the tasks efficiently, not to mention that the assembly directions aren't exactly written in the most straightforward manner. So don't be surprised if you're rereading things a few times just to figure out what you're supposed to do. And while you're wrapping your head around your own workshop duties, NPCs will be coming at you left and right with those side quests I mentioned, which is fine if your time and resource management skills are where they need to be, but at the start of the game you will often feel as though you've got way too much on your plate. In fact, I've had to start telling them no because sometimes I just didn't have the time. So prioritize your jobs and keep your reputation high, and tell those NPCs to hold on a sec if you're busy. They'll wait. Play. Having a desert theme means a unique spin on the farm sim, because in the early game it's pretty light on the farming, like non-existent at the start. What you will be doing is a lot of foraging and salvaging and gathering. You will even have to forage for water, which is a limited resource, and cutting down the trees is not allowed. I tried it. They mean it. Sorry, Burgess. And while there is fishing, it's sand fishing because, again, water is a rare resource. As a builder, your job is to, well, build. So instead of focusing on fruits, vegetables, and trees, your initial focus will be on wood, stone, plant fibers, and mineable materials such as copper and bronze. And these are found all around, from piles on the ground to breaking down junk for parts to going to the ruins around the town. But don't worry, you will be able to plant things and raise animals too. Just don't expect to get to those things right away. But you won't have time for that anyway because you'll be too busy hustling and bustling to find all the things that you need to make the things that you need. You will have no trouble spending 20, 30, 40, or even more hours in this adventure. Pass. This might be kind of nitpicky, but the NPCs are kind of lifeless. I mean, their voices are full of expression. Well, when they do have a voiceover, which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, even within the same conversation, and that's a interesting game design choice. And also you can tell that some of the voices are trying to be a bit more Southwestern than they really need to be, but it goes with the theme, right? Oh, but back to the look. Their faces are just so blah. They don't look very interested or excited about much of anything, and these are the folks you're supposed to connect with to the point of delving deep into their various storylines and eventually marriage, but I don't know, they're just not doing it for me. But hey, you can check out this review right here of a game with a character that is very expressive indeed.